Hey everyone, if you are sitting junior cycle ordinary level maths in 2025, this video is going to be your secret weapon. So as an examiner with the SEC, I've spotted patterns, tricks and must-know question types. Whether you're aiming for a pass or trying to boost your grade, I have you covered. So let's dive into the top tips, key topics, common mistakes and what I predict will come up this year. Real life maths topics appear every single year on the paper. So these include things like percentages and tax. So for example, working out gross or net pay and income tax. Ratios, for example, mixing recipes or fuel costs. And then money problems, for example, shopping receipts, getting change, working out tips, etc. The prediction I would have for 2025 is to expect a multi-step money or kind of pay slip question involving percentages, rates, and maybe the amount of time somebody has worked. My tip for you would be to practice reading real world problems and highlighting what you know, because that's half the battle. You can also see that I have added questions that are reliable for you to practice on this topic, and you can access the exam papers on ExamRevision.ie, and if you use code 2025tips you will currently get 10% off a revision package. Tip number 2 is algebra, and don't be scared. Every paper tests some basic algebra skills. That goes without saying. Things like simplifying expressions, solving equations, substitution and factorising. A very easy prediction for me to make is that you're going to get a question combining substitution with some sort of algebraic manipulation. What I mean by that is you'll have to multiply out brackets, you'll potentially have to substitute in a number for a variable and then get an answer out. A trick is to always show your work. So even if your final answer is wrong, you will still get partial marks for the work that you complete early on in the question. So from our university-based research and first-hand experience of teaching in the classroom with students, at ExamRevision we've created and built the ultimate learning platform for secondary school students in Ireland. We have a range of junior and Leaving Cert subjects on our platform, and each subject covers the entire course in detail, providing support from the basics right up to the highest level, which at junior cycle is a distinction. Our complete revision package will give you the entire junior or Leaving Cert subject broken down into bite-sized video tutorial grinds, PowerPoint presentations, distinction notes, quizzes, exam paper questions with marking schemes, a reflection log, and then smart adaptive technology that's built into the platform. And as I've already said, if you use the code 2025tips, you can currently get 10% off a revision package. Tip number 3 from me is around statistics and how we display data. Venn diagrams are almost guaranteed every year. You're also very likely to get a stem and leaf diagram and have to calculate things like mean, median, range. Interpreting graphs is also very common, so things like distance, time, things like temperature. There was a question one year around the usage of social media. A prediction that's easy for me to make is that you'll either get a Venn diagram with a follow-up probability question or some more statistics involving drawing or interpreting charts. A little trick for you is that when in doubt, write your values inside the set in the question, so inside your circles, and always total your numbers, so always add them up and check it against the universal set. Again, I've given you some questions there that could be good to practice, and if you want to access those questions, you can do so on ExamRevision.ie. Tip number 4. You'll nearly always get some sort of a triangle construction with a protractor and a compass, so make sure you have your math set with you. Angle reasoning questions are very important. They're using parallel lines, and I've given you some tips up there on the right hand side where we can use certain letters to be able to identify relationships and angles. So if you can form the letter Z when the lines are parallel, then that will create your alternate angles. F for corresponding angles and X for those vertically opposite angles. Measurement of 2D and 3D shapes is also very common, and again I've given you some questions to practice there from the past 3 years that will help in your preparation for those questions. So what is available on the ExamRevision.ie platform? At the moment there are 8 junior cycle subjects fully completed and ready to go. These are English, Irish, Maths, History, Science, Geography, Business and Home Ec. For any students in second year or first year, there are 3 more subjects that will be fully completed and ready for September 2025, which are French, Spanish and Religion. All other subjects are currently in development and the exam papers and marking schemes for those subjects are available on the platform. Tip number 5. Every paper includes probability-based questions, things like listing outcomes, calculating theoretical probability and identifying events. Something like, what are the chances of getting an even number and a B? In 2025, expect a probability table that asks you to list outcomes, count favourable ones and then find the probability. If it was me, I would practice 2023 question 6 to help in your preparation for that. Again, you can use the code 2025tips for 10% off any revision package at the moment with ExamRevision. Now, let's talk about the tricks examiners use and where students lose big marks every year. Misreading questions is a huge one. Don't rush, always underline what you're being asked, especially in multi-step questions. So they're questions where you've been asked to do more than one thing. Units and labels. So marks are lost for missing things like centimetres squared, metres cubed, or not labelling your axes or graphs. You'll also lose marks if you're asked to label a point in coordinate geometry on the X and Y axis and you don't label that point. Incorrect calculator use. So my advice for you here is that if you use your calculator to work out the answer for a question, make sure you ask yourself at the end, does this answer make sense in the context of this question? Where students make mistakes here is that they might not have made sure that everything is in the same unit, etc. And therefore the answer, it makes no sense from the information given. Assuming diagrams are drawn to scale is a big problem, so that's where the misreading diagrams comes from. Often they're not. If you're given a triangle and asked to calculate the angle, very often students will take out a protractor and measure it, but it's likely that that diagram is not drawn to scale. If you're asked to measure the angle, then do get your protractor out, but calculating it is going to involve using things like Pythagoras, etc. Algebra slips, so sign errors are the number one reason students lose marks when it comes to algebra, so practice simplifying your expressions carefully. However, I always tell my own students that if you make a distributive error, so that's an error with multiplying out your signs, if you make an error like that early on in your solution, your examiner, like me, will continue to mark your question, so all is not lost. Don't lose hope when it comes to algebra. Explain your answer questions. So if you see that phrase in a question on your exam paper where it asks you to explain your answer, this means it needs a sentence. You will not get full marks for just writing the correct number. You need to actually explain using your mathematical literacy as to why you think this is the answer. Big exam trick from me to you as an SEC examiner, do not leave blanks. If you leave a question blank, you are guaranteed 0 marks. So try everything. Here you can see reviews from some previous students of ours at ExamRevision, and these reviews clearly show you how ExamRevision has been a huge help in students in preparing for state exams, be it from using the interactive quizzes, looking at the H1 notes, or for you guys the distinction notes, or just having those videos at home that they can access all of the time to be able to support their learning. So to wrap up, here are some last minute golden nuggets from me. Number 1, learn how to use your formula and tables book. It's not enough to just know that you can get the formula and tables book. You need to know how and when to use those formulae. Do not leave blanks. I've said this already. Even if you're unsure, write something. Use your reading time wisely. So plan which questions you're going to tackle first, read through the paper before you start, etc. And that leads me directly on to tip number 4. Start with your best question. So decide over the next couple of weeks, what is the question that I really like doing and that I'm really confident with? That's the question you want to start with. You do not need to answer the paper in order. You can start with question 5, question 10. You can jump around as much as you want. And my advice will be start with your best question and build momentum. That will help to just settle you into the exam. And finally, review your work. Keep 5 minutes at the end to check for silly errors, things like incorrect multiplication of signs in algebra, things like missing out on your units maybe with an area question, or not labeling an axis in a graph. So keep a few minutes at the end to check for those errors. And again, don't forget that you can use the code 2025tips to get 10% off revision packages at the moment with ExamRevision, where you'll find more tips and tricks on how to successfully maximize your marks in state exams. So that is it. Your crash course for smashing junior cycle ordinary level maths in 2025. And don't forget, you've been training for this for 3 years. Trust what you know, don't panic, and remember, every mark counts.